in the history of true crime. Some stories are so dark, so morally twisted, that authorities try to bury them forever. This is one of those stories. Sealed in a Virginia courthouse basement for over a century. Locked away because the truth was deemed too disturbing to survive. It's a tale of a monster who didn't hide in the shadows, but stood in plain sight, respected and admired. A monster who engineered the perfect crime not for a fortune, but for a person. This is the story of Jonathan Caldwell, a man who found a young girl orphaned on a rainy night and spent over a decade meticulously grooming her to become his perfect, unwilling bride. Narrator, to understand the horror, you first have to understand the illusion. Jonathan Caldwell was the picture of post-revolutionary aristocracy. Wealthy from tobacco, influential in politics, a widower who had tragically lost his wife. When his men found the wrecked carriage on the Richmond Road, it seemed like an act of providence. The parents were gone, but their daughter, a bright-eyed 11-year-old named Elizabeth Hartwell, had survived. Caldwell, the benevolent saint, took her in. He gave her a home, a new name, and a new life as his adopted daughter. He provided the finest tutors, the best clothes, and lessons in etiquette and estate management. To the world, he was a savior, a pillar of the community performing his Christian duty. But behind the closed doors of Millhaven Estate, a different education was underway. It was an education in loyalty, in isolation, in complete and utter dependence. He spoke of family legacy, of biblical duty, of sacrifices that must be made for the greater good of the bloodline. He was a master psychologist, slowly and carefully bending a young, traumatized mind to his will, ensuring she would see his desires as her destiny. Narrator. The final stage of his plan began when Elizabeth turned 16. He announced a marriage had been arranged to a distant wealthy cousin from the Western Territories, a man named Jonathan Caldwell. He even showed her a miniature portrait. The man was his spitting image. Elizabeth, conditioned to trust him, was confused but compliant. But as the wedding day drew near, small cracks appeared in his perfect facade. No letters ever arrived from the groom's family. The lawyer's documents were filled with complex legal jargon she was told not to worry about. The ceremony was to be small, private, oddly secretive for a family of their stature. The truth finally exploded into her consciousness one sleepless night. She found him in his study, the miniature portrait of her in one hand, a small mirror in the other. He was studying his own reflection, practicing the pose, perfecting the likeness. The two Jonathans were one and the same. The adoption, the education, the isolation, it was all prelude to this moment. He hadn't raised a daughter. He had cultivated a bride, trapping her in a legal and psychological cage from which there seemed no escape. Narrator cornered, she confronted him. And with the mask finally off, Jonathan Caldwell revealed the true depth of his depravity. He wasn't just a manipulator, he was a murderer. He confessed that the carriage accident was no accident. He had orchestrated the murder of her parents for the gold they carried. Elizabeth wasn't rescued. She was the ultimate prize. As he laid out the brutal, calculating details of his plan, a strange thing happened. His arrogance became his undoing. He was so proud of his genius, so confident in his absolute control over her, that he didn't see the trap she was setting. Elizabeth, feigning defeated acceptance, asked him to explain it all, to help her understand the brilliance of his design, and he did. He gave her a full, boastful confession. What he didn't know was that his confession was being overheard by a critical witness, a traveling minister, staying in the guest room above, a man who had actually known her real family and could verify her true identity. Narrator. The wedding day arrived. The Great Hall of Millhaven was filled with Virginia's elite bear to witness what they thought was a strange but noble union. Jonathan stood triumphant. Elizabeth stood beside him, a vision in white, her face a placid mask hiding a storm of terror and resolve. The elderly minister began the ceremony. He reached the fateful question, if any man can show just cause why these two may not be lawfully joined together, let him speak now, or else forever hold his peace. The silence was broken not by a man, but by Elizabeth. In a voice that rang clear and steady through the hall, she said, I must confess a deception before God and these witnesses. And with that, she turned and presented the entire case against Jonathan Caldwell. She revealed the forged documents, the financial records of the murder plot. And finally, she presented the stunned minister, who corroborated her true identity and testified to hearing Jonathan's full confession from the room above. The illusion shattered. The respectable pillar of the community was revealed to be a murderer, a kidnapper, and a predator. Narrator. Jonathan Caldwell was arrested on the spot, later tried, and hanged. His name was scrubbed from Virginia history. The estate was sold. The family vanished. But Elizabeth's story didn't end there. Using the fortune she rightfully inherited, she dedicated her life to ensuring no child would suffer as she had. She founded schools and orphanages with revolutionary legal protections, turning her personal nightmare into a force for profound good. She never married, she never placed herself under the authority of any man again. She lived a long life, a hero who stared into the face of pure evil and, with unimaginable courage, tore its mask off for the entire world to see. Narrator. This story forces us to ask a difficult question. How many monsters are hiding behind masks of respectability, power, and religion right now? How many secrets are still buried in old courthouse basements? If you believe stories like this deserve to be told, to be remembered as a warning from history, then hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We delve into the darkest chapters of the past, so we can be wiser in the present. Let me know in the comments what you think the most chilling part of this story is. And until next time, remember to look a little closer at the people everyone seems to respect. Sometimes the darkest secrets hide in the plainest sight.